Om. 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamatsyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Okay, Hari Om everybody. Last time we are on chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. We saw why the jnani is most dear to Bhagwan and why this is not partiality. Okay, so the jnani is very dear to Bhagwan because the jnani has recognized himself to be the self in all and recognized himself to be Bhagwan, one with Bhagwan. So what is happening is the jnani loves Bhagwan the most because we love ourselves the most. I explained that to you. We love ourselves the most. Now this self, right now our position is we love ourselves, but that is what we are loving is our ego actually. So when the ego gets hurt, we get hurt. When the ego is happy, we are happy. So, but when this jnani has recognized that self to be one with Ishvara, with God, then that love is for God alone. And he is Nitya Yukta and Eka Bhakti. So he takes complete refuge in the Lord alone. He doesn't go anywhere else for any kind of help. And then the self in Bhagwan is this jnani. So Bhagwan also loves the self. So that's why Bhagwan loves him the most. The other reason is this jnani is very independent. So Bhagwan doesn't have to worry about him. Bhagwan will take care of him, but there's no worries because jnani is not asking. The other three people are in distress. They want money. They want jnana, knowledge. So they are asking, but Bhagwan has to do work for them. Whereas for jnani does work for Bhagwan. So Bhagwan's work, I told you, is to spread the knowledge. So the jnani is now free of all desires, free of all, above likes and dislikes, everything. And now he goes about in the world just doing the Lord's work. And because he is doing the Lord's work, Lord takes care of him at all times. That doesn't mean that Bhagwan doesn't love the other people. That's why he says, Udaraha sarva evetehi. These other people are also noble. Everybody is noble. But these other people are dear to me like Lakshmi. They want something. That's okay. It's okay because even though they want something, they have come to me and they have not gone somewhere else. They have not gone dogward. They have come to me, and that is enough for me. And so I know that I love them as well. And then the one Astita Sayuktatma, the one who takes complete refuge in me, Mame Anuttama, he gets Gati. Gati is, see, there is one word called Phala, result. Gati also is result. Phala is result in this life. Phala is something that the result you can see. Gati is result in the next life. So Gati you really cannot see. So Gati means their Gati is supreme, and Bhagavan says means after death they're going to come to me. So there's no problem with that. Okay. Then Bahunam Janmanamante we saw. Bahunam Janmanamante, one aspect is many births when the Jiva does a lot of good work, Punya, then he comes to meet a guru and then he gets this knowledge. or it can be intensity of sadhana as well. It can be taken. If you make your sadhana intense, I gave you the example, somebody wants to, lose weight in 8 days, they can do that. They can do that. Or somebody wants to gain weight, they can do that also. So the sadhana is intensified, that this thing. Jnana vanma prapadyate, then they get this knowledge and then they surrender to me, prapadyate. Vasudeva surrender. And this surrender to me is what is the result of the surrender to me? Is that the self in me, the result is the realization that the self in me is the self in all. I told you Vasudeva means one who is free of rajas and tamas. And to this person who has made himself free of rajas and tamas, Vasudeva, Bhagavan Krishna is born. So that is like a metaphor, So Vasudeva is the father, to him was born Vasudeva. So if we free ourselves of rajas and tamas, then Bhagwan will get the realization of Bhagwan. Sa Mahatma Su Durlo. I told you it's very rare, because human birth alone is very rare. To come into this path is very rare. It is a difficult path. Kathopanishad says it is like walking on a razor's edge. It is really that difficult. So there are very few people come and then they leave. They cannot, they don't have the perseverance. This is dhriti is required. One of the Shat Sampatis, that's why we see dhriti, perseverance. You must be able to do tapas. You must be able to bear the little pinpricks of life. Not everything, why me, why this happened to me. This crying person can never get this knowledge. You have to be strong, mentally strong, and bear. Everybody gets pinpricks in life. You're not alone. You're not alone. You just have to think. When you think, oh, I'm better than that. I'm better than that. Like that only you will think. That's why in Samarth Ramdas has written these verses to the mind, Manache Shlok. In that he says, oh mind, think, who is the happiest in this world? That is a question he's put. And really, if you think, you know what, you'll think, I'm only the happiest, Baba. I've got sorrows, but they're better than these other sorrows. But you have to think. You have to think for that. Now, next. So we read the verse 20, right? Yeah, we read it. So here, and I said, yeah, there's a little bit more. So the verses, there are people who have many, many desires. Where are these desires coming from? From their past lives. Okay. We bring a set of vasanas because of which this birth has happened. And those vasanas, they at the right time, they, like a GIC matures at a particular month and day and everything. Those vasanas keep maturing. And those vasanas, then when they mature, they come as a thought in the mind. And that thought can be any kind of thought. So those who have got these vasanas of desire, there'll be many, many desires. Bhagavan Shankaracharya in his commentaries, he says there are 3 types of desires, Vitteshana, Lokeshana, and Putreshana. So Eshana means desire. Vitta means wealth. So there are some people who want more and more money, more and more money. Then Vitteshana, Lokeshana means name and fame. So they want, they're not so much worried about money, but they want name and fame. That is this. These are just every desire will fall under one of these 3 categories. And Putreshana is progeny. So somebody to carry my name on. In India, especially, we have, if there's girls, then they're not happy sometimes. They want a boy because then that name will be carried forward. So these are the 3 desires. And because of these desires, their knowledge gets looted away. Why? Because now the desire is so strong that that person cannot think of anything else except that desire, and then he will do whatever, and he will anya devataha. So he will go pray to all these various deities. Here, the various deities also in our modern interpretation, it is he will go pray to people. Pray means he will say, oh, maybe if I go approach this person, then I might get this. So that also is to be understood as devata. Not only like Indra Devata or Varuna Devata, not like that. That Devata, of course, the sun god is there, this god, all those deities are there too. But these people, so I want money. So now I want, good education. So I'll go get into some university. So he's trying that. That is what also is meant by Anya Devataha. Tam niyama asthaya. So tam it means where are tam that desire, where is it coming from? Prakrutya niyata swaya, means by prakriti, by nature, these desires have now come from birth. The few things about desire we should know. See, desire is a thought. I've always tell what is desire? Desire is a thought. Mind is a flow of thought. So mind, if there is a mind, there will be a thought, and that thought may be of desire. Maybe it's usually desire, good or bad or whatever thought there is, like, oh, I want to travel, I want to, do this, give money to the mission, sponsor a day. All these are thoughts. They all fall under the category of desire. Few things about desire is, the first thing to understand is this thought a desire or a need? See, if I say I'm thirsty, I want to drink water, that also is a desire. But it is also falling under the category of need. My body needs water. So, the basic needs that we have, food, shelter, basic needs, so that is not coming under this desire. Okay, that is a need. So what is a need has to be fulfilled. The body has certain needs, the mind has certain needs, those have to be fulfilled. That is not a problem. Any desire that is coming into our mind, the point is, desire will come because we have no control over the desire, because it is coming from the vasana level, and we have brought the vasanas from our past life, so we have no control over that either. We don't know what we did in our past to create those type of vasanas. Let not that desire agitate us. That should be, see, that this is what this teaching is all about. Okay, the teaching is not going to suddenly make your desires disappear. It can't. It can't. Just because you're reading Bhagavad Gita or hearing about this knowledge, suddenly the desire is not, because it is coming. Reading Bhagavad Gita is, the vasanas are there. They're already there because birth has happened. So that doesn't change. But now that we are reading all this, that it is coming from here, this is how it is, let it not agitate us. Have the desire. There's no problem. The desire. There is no problem. But don't let it agitate you, because when it agitates and when it pushes you, when it is very, very strong, then you might do something which is not supposed to be done, because when that strong push is there, so that push has to be taken care of. More than the desire, take care of the push. That the push is now, a desire has come, okay, fine, if it happens it'll happen, if not it'll happen, it'll not happen, and I'll be okay with or without it. That attitude must come because of this knowledge. The other way of dissolving desires should be sublimation, not suppression. There are two words: sublimation and suppression versus suppression. Suppression means where you're by forcefully you're forcing that desire. No, I don't want to force. When you use force, yes, maybe for that little while that desire will go away, but at some other point when there is a trigger, it'll come up in double force. Anything that is pushed down, it can revolt and come up at this thing. But if you sublimate it, and sublimation is when there is surrender to a higher altar. That is what sublimation is. That I want to win this Olympic medal, and therefore I should not be going for parties. I should not be eating wrong kinds of food. I need to train my body, because now that athlete has surrendered to that higher altar, which is the medal, gold medal. Okay, that way, if we surrender to a higher altar, that I want good health. Okay, everybody wants good health, right? Is anybody who say, no, I don't want health, it's okay, what is the big deal about it? The doctor is there, that's why she's laughing away. Like, then we won't need doctors. So that high, now you make that as a higher altar. I'm not even telling you make God or guru. Okay, health. Then for that, if I want to keep my A1C low, then I shouldn't do a sugar detox. I shouldn't eat sugar. Now you sublimate it, surrendering to the higher good. That way, these desires will come more and more under control. Otherwise, it is suppression is not going to help. But it'll help, means temporarily it'll help. You force yourself not to do it. Or, when there is an exam, at least for that time, okay, now exam is there for 1 month, I will just study. Okay, so that way if you sublimate the desires, it will be, it'll be more manageable. Desires will be more manageable. Another subtler, another thing, and then I'll tell you the subtle thing also. Distinguish between good and bad desires. Distinguish. So there can be a desire, like I said, to help somebody, to do charity. Then don't say, oh, well, I've been asked to suppress, I should not have any desires, so let me not have this desire either. That is not correct. So when you have a good desire, follow it through, but you should be able to do it, huh? So not, don't go beyond your means. If you want to help somebody, then you have to be capable of that help, giving that help. You may feel compassion, but maybe you don't have the resources, you don't have the health, you don't have the means, then don't worry about it. But if good desire versus bad desire, that also we have to think about that. When that desire comes in the mind, think about all these aspects. The way to sublimate desires is by developing more sattva in the mind. There are these three gunas, three moods. We have talked about them briefly. Chapter 14 will elaborate on them. There is what is known as sattvic guna, rajasic guna, and tamasic guna. These gunas we have brought from our past life. These three gunas, never, none of them will go to zero. They are, the mix is 100%. So the predominance of this sattvic guna will help you sublimate desires. Predominance of rajasic will push you into following that desire. Rajas, predominance of rajas, because none of them can go to zero. So we cannot say that there is only sattva in my mind or only rajas. It is not like that. It doesn't work like that. And if it is tamasic, then there is dull, so either that desire is leading him into, it's leading him into dogwood only, then tamasic. So the idea is, if we can make our mind more and more sattvic, and how do I make the mind sattvic? It's, you have say a little bit of water and it is very salty. And then now you want to reduce the salt in that. So what you do is you pour pure water into that. The more and more and more pure water you pour into that container, which has got salty water, at one point that salt you're not going to feel. So when there is rajas, you put more and more good thoughts, studying, reading, all these spiritual studies will help in increasing sattva. And the way it will help is if you follow what instructions are being given. Okay, so this is what this, even though we have come, see, that is what self-effort is all about. We have come with a certain set of desires. Now we are studying this. Now we know, now we can try and change ourselves. And that is what is meant by self-effort. What comes to us, remember, is destiny. And destiny is coming from past lives, and therefore it cannot be changed, because I cannot go back into my past life and change what I did or did not do. Now that has brought me this destiny in front of me, standing in front of me. How I face it is self-effort, or what is known as purushartha. And that self-effort should be based on the scriptural teachings. So when the scriptural teachings are telling me that don't get affected by what is standing in front of you, whether it is Miss Sorrow, like I said in the morning lecture, whether it is Miss Sorrow or Mr. Joy, you remain the same. Because ultimately all destiny, all situations are either good, which will give me happiness, or bad, which gives me sorrow. That's it. That's the bottom line. In that bottom line, if you can remain steadfast, remain as is, without getting affected either way, then you will be able to sublimate all those desires. And that is what Purushartha is. There is a choice. Some people say, oh, this is my destiny, I have no choice. If there was no choice, then nothing. We could have just sat and, okay, there's destiny, food will come, there's destiny. No, it is not like that. Please remember, as human beings, we have, as animals don't have a choice, but as human beings, we do have a choice, because we do have that subtle intellect to think, and that should be used. That faculty of intellect should be used. Okay, next. Yo yo yam yam tanum bhakti bhaktah shraddhayarchitumicchati tasya tasyachalam shraddham tameva vidadhamyaham. Whatsoever form any devotee desires to worship with faith, that same faith of his I make firm and unflinching. In the previous month, I think last time I told you, Bhagwan also what it means is they go to all these Anya Devatas, but the giver of the result is me only, which they don't know. So they don't come to me. They go to these other demigods, semi-gods, deities, whatever, and I'm the one that is. Now what Bhagwan is saying is, when they can pray to anybody, and I make their faith firm. Now, how do I make the faith firm? Is by fulfilling their desire. See, I'm praying to somebody for money. Now I got that money or promotion or bonus or marriage or house, whatever that desire I had. Now what happened is, oh, I got this. Now my faith is increasing. Okay, that is what he means here. Whoever desires, I increase their faith by giving them the desire. Now, here the point that is to be understood is, yes, I do give them their desire, I do increase their faith, but that is not giving them spiritual emancipation. Because what is happening now? See, desire is there, we have seen. Desire unfulfilled is anger, desire fulfilled is greed. Now what happens is, when that desire gets fulfilled, there is more greed, and desire is always for external things, material things. If there is desire for God and God alone, then that person who desires God will never desire anything in the material world. He'll say, oh Lord, just give me your bhakti. Just let me be devoted to you. And whatever you give me, whatever you dish out for me, that's fine. That is how this bhakta will say, or a spiritual seeker will say that. Like, I want you. I don't want. This is what Arjun did, right? Bhagwan gave them a choice. Arjun was there, Duryodhan was there. Bhagwan said, I am on one side, and Balram, even my older brother, and the whole army is on the other side. Now you pick what you want. Arjun said, what will I do with the army? I don't want army. I want you. So this person is looking for the army. Duryodhan said, oh, Duryodhan was so worried actually. Because Bhagwan said, Arjun, you choose first. And Duryodhan got really worried. He said, my God, what if he chooses? What will I do with this Krishna? This is how he thought. This is how people think. What will I do with Bhagwan? I want army. And Arjun said, I can fight. I can fight. And Bhagwan already said, I will not lift any weapon. I will not fight. You pick who you want. Duryodhana, if he's not going to, what is the point of having him? This is how these people think, those who have desires. What do I want Bhagwan for? Right? And Bhagwan is like, okay, fine, you go there. There is a story in Bhagavad Puran where Krishna and Arjun, they dressed up as bhikshus, Brahmins, and they went asking for food. They were asking for bhiksha. They were in a village, and they went to a very rich person's house, and the rich person, he just said, what, you guys, you don't work, nothing you do, and you come begging for food. No, I have no food. Go away. So Bhagwan turned around, and when they were walking away, Bhagwan said, may his wealth increase. So Arjun was a bit perplexed. He thought, why this person actually insulted us, saying we do nothing and we are only begging, and Bhagwan is blessing him. See, people think that's a blessing, right? More wealth. Then they go, and then there is this one poor Brahmin who has only one cow, and that is his only, source of food, because he will drink that milk of that cow, and that is how he was sustaining himself. So when these two come, he immediately gives that milk to these two. He says, no, you eat. Which means he gave his own food. Now he has no food for that day. And Bhagwan turns around and says, may his cow die. Now Arjun gets really upset. He says, what is going on? So he asks Bhagwan. He says, what is going on? Why the two different? Why did you bless it? The one who insulted us, you blessed. And the one who gave us food, his own thali he gave us, you said, he said, that was the only thing. You think that is a blessing. Now what? See, with that other person, now he's going to more indulge in that wealth. So he's going to go away from me. Let him go. Let him go. Because he's going after the impermanent. So it'll take him years to, this person, the only thing that is tying him to this world is the cow. Now the cow is dead. Now straight he comes to me. That's it. Direct path to me, to the permanent. So that's why, when we think, oh, I asked for this and I got it, it shouldn't be like, yeah, because anything you get in the material world, you think it's a blessing. But truly, what is a blessing is only spiritual emancipation is the blessing. That is what is going to give peace of mind. This money and material wealth and material things will not give us peace of mind. Maybe temporarily it will, but after that, then greed is going to set in. So that's why he says, I increase their faith, but as spiritual seekers, should I be going after those desires that I have? That's why we analyze the desire. Of course, if it's a good desire, definitely you go after it, and God will help you with that desire. But if it's not, and whatever happens, you must be able to accept it with equanimity. Okay, prasada buddhi is very, very important. Whatever comes, things happen. You can't help that. All right. Sataya shraddhaya yuktaha tasyaradhanamihate labhate chatata kaman mayeva vihitan hitan. Endued with that faith, he engages in the worship of that devata, and from it he obtains his desire. All these being ordained indeed by me alone. That's what I told you before. Here, this is what he said. Endued with that faith. Now, what is the faith? The faith that Bhagwan only created in his mind. And how was that faith created? By fulfilling his desire. So his desire got fulfilled. So his faith increased. And now he's going to go after more desires, right? Because now one thing got fulfilled. Greed is coming up, there will be more, and then all this, he gets his desires, but he forgets that they have been ordained by me. So ultimate giver of results. Now, as we study this, we should know that everything is coming from God. From our side, it is faith. Okay, but from God's side, it is grace. That is to be understood. So that's why when the desire is fulfilled, my faith increases, and I think that is grace of God. It is coming from God. But is it real grace if I'm being taken away from God? Like that example that I told you, when the rich man is going to get more wealth, now what is he going, next time any other Brahmin comes, he's going to do the same thing. So he's going slowly, he's going away from the Lord, right? It's going to take him a lot longer to reach the final destination, which is the goal of human birth. Whereas this other person, the Brahmin, he's going to reach much faster. So that is what we have to think. What is this Bhagavan saying all this for? What is he saying all this for? For us, So he says, everything is so ordained by me alone. Kenopanishad, he says, even a blade of grass does not move. So when I have that ego or thought that I did and I got, that should be toned down. That should be toned down. It should always be, I did it because I got this thought, and the thought came from Bhagwan alone. And therefore, thank you, Lord. So that whatever it may be. Okay. So that's why he says, all these, they are being given my through the devatas. I give all these desires, fulfill all these desires through whoever they're praying to. I increase their faith. But the one who is praying to me alone, the result for these other people is different. Final result. Okay. Right now, I wanted some money, or something, I got it. Okay, but the final result for these people is different, and the final result for those who are going after me, like I told you that story, the final result for that person who lost the cow is totally different, as opposed to the final result for the person who got the wealth. And now he explains that in the next verse. Okay. अन्तवत्तु फलं तेषां तद्भवत्यल्पमेधसां देवान् देवयजो यान्ति मद्भक्ता यान्ति मामपि. Verily, the fruit that accrues to those men of little intelligence is finite. The worshippers of the devas go to the devas, but my devotees come to me. Okay. Antavatu is which has an end, that which has an end. How much ever money you get will not have an end. See, in Kathopanishad, we study this young boy of 8. He goes to Lord Death, and he asks for this knowledge, this final knowledge he asks for. And Lord Yama says, don't ask me that. That you don't ask me, but you know what? I will give you wealth. I will give you elephants. I will give you horses. I will give you this. Then Nachiketa said, yeah, but what is the point? I will only die. You will give me all I'll die before the wealth. He says, no, I will give you long life. Then he says, yeah, but if I live long, then my sons will die. Then what? He says, no. I will not only give you long life. I'll give you, sons and grandsons, and I will give you long life. You go enjoy. And Nachiketa says, yes, but they are antavattu. They all have an end in the ultimate analysis. I want that which does not have an end. This is what this is. This is what that story, that man who Bhagavan blessed him with wealth, he will indulge. How long will he indulge? Whereas now this one has come to his goal. The Brahmin whose cow died, straight off into Bhagavan. That's what he's saying here. They're alpa medhasam. Medha is the capacity of the mind, intellect, intelligence. That is what medha is. So alpa is small. They're little, this finite little people. They think mini, right? If I have money, I'll be happy. If I have this big house, if I have this. In the material world, everything is finite. So whatever finite you get, it's going to give only finite happiness. It cannot give infinite happiness. How can it? It doesn't have. That's why their alpamedasam should not be understood as they are not educated. They don't have any intelligence. They don't understand anything. See, if you read the stories of saints, there's a book called Lives of Saints. We should all read those type of books. The reason is, what theory we study here, in the saint's life, we see it, the practical side of it, we see in that Bhakta's life, Saint Bhakta there. Those who are devotees, sincere devotees. And especially in Maharashtra, when I have read all this thing, they were all uneducated. Nobody. There was one, a potter. He was a great devotee. Then tailor. Namdev was a tailor. He used to stitch clothes. So they were all uneducated. Then there was one devotee. His name is not coming to my mind. He was a Shudra, so he was not even allowed into the temple of Vitthal Bhagwan. So, Vitthal Bhagwan's favorite food is curd rice. And then he had this very, very strong desire, to feed curd rice to Bhagwan, but he was not allowed to go inside the temple in Pandharpur. This is his temple. Bhagwan Vitthal is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. And so, what he just made, and he said, Bhagwan, they're not allowing me. What can I do? Next day, when the priest, this Brahmin priest, high caste priest, when they opened the door, there was curd rice on the idol's lips. And they got so mad. They thought why his name is not coming to my mind. They thought he broke into the temple and he fed. See how alpamed, that is alpamedasam. You can feed to the idol or what? Curd rice, can you stuff it into the idol's mouth? But they thought he broke into the temple and they wanted to punish him. So what they did was they tied him to a bullock and they beat the bullock so that that bullock would run and he would be dragged on the streets of Pandharpur. And when they, his wife was there in the audience, that, watching. Everybody came to watch, right, this tamasha. And they were beating the bulls. And only the wife, she saw the bulls wouldn't move. They wouldn't move. They were beating them, like they would start running. The bulls would start running and he was tied behind and then he would get dragged, but the bulls wouldn't move. And the people couldn't understand. And the more they didn't move, the more they beat them. And then the wife, she saw Vitthal Bhagwan was holding the reins and standing there. They couldn't move. And only she saw that. So he never got dragged. That is how God takes care of the devotees. That is why we need to read this, because that's the practical. This has actually happened. This is not some way back saint. This is very Sant Jnaneshwar and all So 1400 AD. That is that eight, no, not 1400, even afterwards. So it's that way considered very recent. So the point is here, what he's saying is that these are these alpa, these are this, they consider themselves to be Brahmins, they consider themselves to be high caste, they consider themselves to be very educated, they know Sanskrit, and that's why Sant Dhaneshwar and all, they were not allowed to read Vedas. So the Sant Dhaneshwar said, what, everybody is a manifestation of that Lord, right? And then they said, yeah, but if you think that this bull can read the Vedas, then if he's also what we are, like we all are, and he said, yeah, please start chanting the Vedas. The bull started chanting the Vedas. These are all true stories. Okay, there's not a story. So the idea here is, what Bhagwan is saying is, the people go to various devatas. I'm the one that is giving the result. I only increase their wealth, and they don't understand that I am the one that is to be reached. And you cannot reach me through that wealth. You cannot. You have to surrender directly to me. If you want to reach me, you surrender directly to me and you give up all these other things. But they don't. Because why? They're alpa medasa. Their intellect is very small. This is what he's saying. That verily the fruit that accrues to those men, whatever fruit accrues, there's another story, Ramakrishna Paramahansa story this is. Now this is even more recent than this one. So one man came to Ramakrishna Paramahansa and said, Ganges, he was there in Dakshineshwar, he said, you know what? For 12 years I have done sadhana, effort, and now I can walk on water, and now I can cross the Ganges on foot. And Ramakrishna Paramahansa said, what? I gave 25 paise and I crossed in a boat. That 12 years, if you had spent in learning about the Lord, you would have reached the Lord. What is the point of walking over water? What did you get? In 25 paise, I can do that. That time, I'm sure it was there, just 25 paise, you could cross in the boat, right? So efforts are being put. Even Bhagwan Shankaracharya's commentary, one of the places is, people don't understand that when they are going after these material, they are putting effort. Okay, they're Rajas is putting in effort. Dynamism is there. That is not a question. They're putting in effort, but with the same effort, you will get the highest. Even Gurudev has said that, the meditation is used for relaxation, right? Stress, if person is stressed, they say meditate. Gurudev used to say, Gurudev has said this, that you're shortchanging yourself, because meditation can give you the highest. Stress is just go to sleep now. If you keep your mind clear of thoughts, you'll fall asleep. All stress will be relieved. Why we're going to meditate and TM and transcendent and pay so much money and then this and this, and even Vipassana meditation. One lady came to Swami Shantananji was here, and you pay that much money and 10 days you go and then you keep silent and you do this, and then he said, but you're just wasting. He said that actually in Mr. Kapai's house. All people were there. She was very unhappy. That you're wasting your time, just go to sleep, because you're going into a void. It's not giving you any knowledge, because Vipassana is taking you into the void, into avyakta. And that is Kadhominesha straight away, avoid that, do not go into the void, because going into the void is giving you peace, but it is not giving you knowledge. Knowledge has to come. Knowledge is the most important thing. So these people who are doing this is all Anya Devata. So, I've got stress and then I go for this meditation and that. Meditation is only meant to reach the highest. And for that, you need purity of mind. And so that effort should be put in. The effort to be put in is to purify the mind. That effort will definitely give you results. But people don't want to do that. There's so many desires, they just want to keep fulfilling their desires. Okay, so that's why he says, whoever you're meditating on the void, you'll go into the void only. There's nothing. But if you meditate on me, you will come to me. This is what he says. Then question is, why do people in general fail to reach the self? Avyaktam vyaktimapannam manyante mama buddhayah param bhavam janantah mamavyam anuttamam The foolish think of me, the unmanifest, as having come to manifestation, not knowing my higher, immutable, and peerless nature. See, we have been told to know, we have to know God tattvataha. Tattvataha, the word means in essence. What does it mean in essence, quote unquote? So this tattvataha word breaks into two. Twa, tvam or twa, and tat and twa, tattvata, that joining those two becomes tattvata. So in essence means you have to know yourself, and tat is that, Ishvara, God. Twa is you yourself. To know God in essence is to know yourself to be Him, none other than Him. Jiva Brahma Aikya is what this tattvata is. Now, what he's saying here is that foolish, mudaha, those who are foolish, they do not understand that. They think that I am that form. Okay. So that's avyak. They think that from unmanifest, I have become manifest. And therefore, in chapter 4, we saw that through Maya, I am appearing to be born. There is no birth for me. But I appear as though born. I appear as though I will die or I died. But here, these are the foolish. They think that the unmanifest has come. So they don't know me in essence. And when they think of me as a form, you can never be one with any form. You can't. Form is always different. That's why even dated, there's so many different forms, right? Even identical twins, there's some difference. Like you cannot be one with form. So if I think that this unmanifest has come as a form, then there can never be knowing him in essence. That knowing cannot. Now, why do I think of him as a form? Is because I myself have a form and I'm identified with that form. I think of myself as the body. Whatever I am, I think, you see, Raman Maharshi was asked a question. Is God formless or is he with form? That's a question. Is God formless or is he with form? Then Raman Maharshi asked him, what do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself to be formless or do you consider yourself to be with form? So the thing is, if you consider yourself to be with form, then God is a form. But if you consider yourself to be formless, that self that we talked about in the morning today, that self, which is different from the BMI, from the gross and subtle and causal bodies, if you consider yourself to be that, then God also is formless. So in formless, there is no difference. It's the same. Whatever I am, in general, this is in an empirical world, think about it. Whatever I am, I always think the other person will be like that, right? So if I'm an honest person, I always take other people at face value. Whatever they say, I will believe. But if I am myself not an honest person, then no matter what other people say, you think, is that real? Is that true? Is that true? Is that true? Is he honest? Is he honest? Is he honest? Think about it. Whatever I am, I always I think the other person to be like that. So here what he's saying is we are so identified with form that we also think that Bhagwan has a form and that Bhagwan from unmanifest is manifest into a form. And then there can never be, he can never know the as coming back and not knowing my higher, he will never know my formless nature, because he is himself identified with form. He will always look at me as form. So God is over there and I am over here, and he can never know my higher transcendental nature. There is a transcendental nature, there's an absolute reality, and then there is a transactional reality. In the transactional reality, there is a form. And that form is real, but it will end at some point. Whereas in that absolute reality, there is no form. It is formless. So that's why he says, like whatever we think of ourselves, param bhavam ajanantaha, not knowing, not knowing my supreme nature. And how can they come to know my supreme nature if they are that much identified with the form, with the body, mind, intellect? So that's why our main thing is to disidentify from the body, know ourselves, first intellectually know. That's why we need the fundamentals of Vedanta. That's why we need that Tattva Bodh, where Bhagavan says, you are The self is different from the body. Understand yourself to be something other than the body, because the body is perishing, it is changing, it is born, it is going to die, it is going to change. And that changing thing factor, you cannot be. The self is unchanging. But here, Bhagwan says that they don't understand me. What can I do? Bhagwan is also helpless. Now, if you don't, if you can't understand, you can't. This is what he's saying. Um, Actually, one of the videos, somebody asked, one is Raman Maharshi was asked the question, can you show me God? Yeah, that was the question. Can you show me God? And he said, I can show you God, but whether you'll be able to see him or not, I don't know, but I'll show you. And all he did was this, move his finger. And then they said, what? You're moving the finger. He said, yeah, because of which I can move the finger is what God is. Similar question was asked to Gurudev, and he gave a different type, similar answer, but different. He said, can you show me God? And he yawned. And he said, that because of which I could yawn is what God is. Not the yawn itself, but because of which I could. That part people don't understand. People, this thing. Okay. All right. Any questions so far? All clear? Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah mudho yam nabhijanati loko mamajamavyayam. I am not manifest to all in my real nature, veiled by divine Maya. This deluded world knows not me, the unborn, the imperishable. Why is it why is it that people don't know you? One reason is that you're identified with form. He said they're deluded. Delusion is wrong thinking. They're deluded by what? By my own Maya, my divine Maya. Mama Maya Durattaya. He already said that, right? So this Maya is Prakriti, or Maya is Prakriti, Avidya. These are all synonyms. Swabhava word is also used later on in the later verses for Maya. And Maya is made up of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. It is because of these three gunas that people get deluded. When there is a predominance of Tamas, they get deluded into giving reality, a lot of reality to the inert world. And then there is hoarding. How does tamasic tendencies manifest? Is through hoarding. So when we are holding lots and lots of things in the house or whatever, it is a manifestation of predominance of tamas. When there is a lot of activity, to-do lists, constantly, what do I do next? What do I do next? What do I do next? When there is dynamism, a lot of it, there has to be dynamism, okay? Rajas has to be there, but how much is to be understood, known. Then what happens is then I'm so much into this doing and getting and fulfilling desires that I totally ignore him. That's why all the previous verses he said that they are so much into desires. They go on worshipping all these various gods and they forget that I am the one that is the giver of the results. Their results, the results that they get is finite, but I am the one that will give infinite results. So point is for us to understand whether I want this finite result, which will end, or do I want this infinite result, which will never end, and then go accordingly. The one who is with a sattvic bent of mind it will be more prone to, quietness, peace of mind, reading, dynamism will be there, but it will be in controlled quantities. It's not like whole day to-do list only. Like life is just a to-do list. There are things to do and they have to be done. The sattvic person will definitely do those, but at the same time will make sure that they have time for reading, contemplation, thinking about the lecture. All this will go simultaneously. And depending on the stage of life, then that has to increase or decrease. So in the fundamentals class, I think we talked about it. Yes. Those who are a brahmachari, then their main thing should be studying for material gain, because studies, and vanaprastha, earning. But then a small portion of that time must always be given for studies, spiritual studies. So when you start at a young age, as by the time you reach Vanaprasthashram, which is the third stage of life, then that has to go on increasing and rajas will decrease. And in Grihasthashram, when you are rajasic, when you do those actions with the attitude of karma yoga, this in Vanaprastha will be easy. In Grihasthashram, when you're in the second stage of your life, which is the most dynamic, that is most dynamic, that dynamism, when it is done only for fulfillment of desires, only for selfish desires, this is what I want, this is what I want to get in life, this is what this, that is only the reason when it is done, it becomes very difficult in Vanaprastha, because Vanaprastha is going to come. Why? The body is only going one way. So there will be a time, if you don't want to retire, people will make you retire. You will be forced to retire. That has to be kept in mind. Just as, when you start working, the first day, at least they called me in and they told me, you need to start putting towards your RRSP, pension funds. Why? Because one day you're going to retire. Either you retire on your own accord, or we will tell you to retire when your age comes. So right now you start doing that, and that we do because we want security. In this Vanaprastha, when I retire, I want security, and security, I think money will give me security. And yeah, to a certain extent it does. So that I do. But what I don't realize is that the ultimate goal is to gain this knowledge, to recognize myself to be one with the Lord. And I do not put anything towards that. Now, towards that, money is not required there. For retirement and living comfortably, money is required. But for this, what is required is time. So that reading, study the Vedas daily was the first instruction of Sadhana Panchakam. That is what comes in. It has to be started in Grihasthashram. That's where you have to start. So you start with 5 minutes and understand the principles of how to act in this world. Acting, we know. Acting means doing, not acting in the stage. We know how to work. But what is the attitude behind that work? We don't know. The attitude behind that work, what to do, I know. Actually, what to do, I know. Because why? Because I have this goal. I want to get married. I want a big house. I want this. I want a car. I want what is that? That list is there. And I know what to do. But how to go about it, only this teaching gives us. And how to go about every action is through Karma Yoga, chapter 3. So when every action is done, every karma is done as with an attitude of karma yoga, then what is happening is sattva is increasing in the mind. And as the sattva increases, and vanaprastha is definitely going to come. Either you retire of your own accord, which is actually very painless if you decide to retire on your own. If not, they will make you retire. Then it will be painful. So you pick. That is what this is. Bhagwan is available all the time, but we have no time for him. Because in our younger days, we are, that's why it's very fortunate. Those who come into this, that's why Gurudev started Balvihar, that at a young age, start getting this. When you look at dance class and skiing, what 2 or 3 years old, they were going skiing. That people start at young age. Dance immediately. I asked one dance teacher, she said, when the feet are, you can start learning dance. Singing, the moment the child start talking, singing can be. But when it comes to Balvihar, no. Spiritual studies. So that is what is the importance. So here he says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga. I am available all the time. Sun is available all the time. But if I choose to close my blinds, then the sun is not available to me. So Bhagavan says, I am available, but this Maya is, engulfing that person. And Maya, if it is Sattvic Maya, there is in Tulsi Ramayana, Bhagavan Ram gives Maya of 2 kinds. There he describes, there's Vidya Maya and Avidya Maya. So Vidya Maya this is also Maya. This is an illusion that is going on the class, but this is Vidya Maya. Because you're studying the scriptures, you're studying Bhagavad Gita, this Vidya Maya will lead you to God. Vidya Maya leads you to God. Avidya Maya leads you to the world. And what he's, when he says Yoga Maya Samavritaha, this is Avidya Maya. That is engulfing all of us. And therefore, even though he is freely available to us 24/7, we do not turn to him. Mudhoyam na abhijanati. Mudha, those who are foolish, those who are alpamedasam. That is also the word, same thing, foolish, not uneducated. They could be highly educated. They could be judges sitting on the bench, Supreme Court bench. But if they don't recognize the presence of God, then they are mudha. Okay? Or vimudha. Vimudha is PhD in foolishness. That is Bhagavan Shankaracharya's definition. Na abhijanati loko. They do not understand my avyaya, my unchanging nature, the transcendental nature, the absolute nature. They don't understand. And this is because of Maya. So now when we know that this is because of Maya, and we know Maya is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, then our duty becomes to increase Sattva in our own minds. Okay? And that can be done through Karma Yoga. Okay? We'll stop here today. 26. I think it's 30. I think I should be able to complete this next Sunday. Yeah. I think so. I'm not sure how much explanation there is, but I think now there shouldn't be, because there'll be an, oh yeah, no, it'll be fast, because the last last 2 or 3 verses are introducing the next chapter, chapter 8. So it will, this chapter will complete. Everybody's interested in doing discussion? Yes, yes, yes. I don't hear any. Yes.
Yes, Jayaji, I can't put on my video.
That's okay.
This is Rachna.
I can imagine you nodding your head. Okay, fine. So I will, what I'll do is I'll send it on the thing. I'll put, and then Primsa, you can make a whatever. I'll send the, yeah. I'll write it and then I'll send the photo on the WhatsApp so you guys can start preparing. But next week, we will complete, and then so the following Sunday, the discussion will start. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll see some of you tomorrow. Monday, there is a class. Friday also, there is a class. Otherwise, I'll see all of you next Sunday. Om swasti prajabhya paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha gobrahmanebhya shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini desho yam kshobarahita brahmana santu nirbhayaha om sarvesham swasti bhavatu sarvesham shantir bhavatu sarvesham purnam bhavatu sarvesham mangalam bhavatu sarve bhavantu sukhinah सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेव अवशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Okay, Hari Om everybody.